Hey all. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about types of cruises to avoid, or if you don't avoid them, you're risking disappointment. If you're planning a cruise, you might be wondering which cruises are the best and which ones should you avoid. Unfortunately, that's kind of a
conundrum.
Sure, personal preference. Cruises are a great vacation choice for people who love the sea, who love, unpacking once and visiting bunch of different places, about not worrying about, how much their dinner costs or making, dinner reservations or finding something to do or,
The list can go on and on.
Sure. While it can be said that there really is no such thing as a bad cruise in general, some cruises will leave you feeling like you wasted your time and money if you pick the wrong one.
But not all cruises are created equal.
We already said that.
I'll say it again. Not all cruises are created equal.
So we're going to talk about several types of cruises that can have potential problems and issues. This list is kind of subjective. I share real reasons why, or we share some real reasons why these cruises may not be for you. These cruise tips should be able to help you avoid some of the worst experiences and plan for better cruise vacations.
Number one, repositioning cruises. Repositioning cruises can be an amazing deal, but some people, these are cruises to avoid. Repositioning cruises are one-way cruises that leave from one home port and region to sail to another and begin a new cruise itinerary. Most of the time, this involves cruise ships crossing the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans, and sometimes people refer to repositioning cruises as transatlantic or trans-Pacific cruises.
And what are some of the positives, dear?
Some of the positives, to be fair, some people love repositioning cruises. They can be a great way to travel if you have the time and like lots of sea days. However, for others, not so much. The fact is, many people are attracted to the lower price of repositioning cruises. And these are the cruises that may be as low as $30 to $50 per person per night, which is definitely a deal. So, what are some of the negatives?
There are some disadvantages you should be aware of if and when you decide to book that repositioning. Usually these happen at the beginning or end of a season. So weather can be cooler, and so it can limit your time on the outdoor decks. The seas can be a little rougher, so maybe not so ideal for someone who's concerned about motion sickness. Another reason you might want to avoid a repositioning is that those itineraries definitely have fewer ports of call and more sea days. So as an example, a typical 15-night cruise departing from Rome and ending up in Florida, you'll have like 5 port stops and 9 sea days. Now, if you love sea days like I do and have the time to add travel days at the beginning or end, repositioning cruises can be great. However, based on some of the feedback and some of the reviews, this can be an itinerary for more experienced cruisers and something that first-time cruisers should avoid.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Number 2, short cruises. There are a lot of reasons why you might want to stay away from the short cruise. These cruises can be an interesting experience for some people, but not for everyone. In particular, if you're cruising for the first time, these short sailings likely won't give you the same experience as a traditional 7-day cruise. But here are the 4 big reasons you might want to pass on a short cruise. Shorter sailings of 2, 3, or 4 days are often on the cruise line's older and smaller cruise ships. This is something to watch out for. Often, short weekend cruises attract people who want to party for a good price, and this can be a very different atmosphere than longer sailings, which tend to attract couples and families looking for a combination of fun and relaxed time. There is less time to relax, unpack, and get into cruise mode. It takes a day or two, to feel like you're truly on vacation. Actually, I feel that way when we disembark. So there's that. Anyway, on a short 2, 3, or 4 day sailing, you may have to disembark just as you're really starting to enjoy it. You'll have less time for onboard activities. While there are usually plenty of things to do on any given cruise, short cruises just don't have as much time for that, for those activities that happen during the day and at night. But to get the most fulfilling,
Okay, you're fine.
the most fulfilling experience with tons of cruise ship activities, which might include cooking demonstration, dance classes, trivia contests, or game shows, you're best off taking a longer cruise. And of course, if you live near a cruise port and cruise often, then you know what to expect. You may enjoy the opportunity to cruise more often. But if you want a quick getaway, the 2, 3, or 4 night is great.
Yeah. Next type of cruise to avoid: cruises during hurricane season. You might want to consider avoiding cruising during hurricane season because cruise ships are sometimes delayed, asked to change their route, or even canceled due to weather circumstances. Let's call it that. So while hurricane season in the Caribbean is actually from June through November, typically most of the cruises that are affected are August, late August through say mid-November. Of course, there are no guarantees, and some years seem to be worse than others. So, if you book during that hurricane season, you're going to want to be a little bit flexible because there are pretty good chance there are going to be changes. If you want more peace of mind and certainty that your cruise is going to leave when it says, go where it says, and come back when it says, then it might be best to avoid cruising to the Caribbean during those certain months. And if you decide to take that adventure, you'll bet to me, excuse me, that's even more reason to make sure that you have travel insurance so that if Mother Nature decides to, kick up a storm, you're covered no matter what. Next up.
Anyway, inaugural cruises. It can be great fun to be on a new cruise ship for the first official sailing. However, inaugural cruises are ones to avoid if you're expecting things to run perfectly. There are a couple of things that can happen. Firstly, inaugural cruises sailings can be canceled due to delays in the ship deliveries from the shipyard and other reasons. While this doesn't happen often, it's a possibility for your cruise to get canceled, and this can be very disappointing, especially since you've planned for it far in advance.
That just happened
with the
last
Icon.
couple of months. No, not with the Icon, with the Sun Princess.
Oh.
Her inaugural sailing was supposed to be, I don't remember the exact date, but like the beginning of March of 2024. But unfortunately, due to delays from the shipbuilder, they ended up having to cancel the first 2 cruises. So the third cruise actually ended up being the inaugural cruise, which upset a lot of people who wanted to be, on that first sailing.
Well, it's understandable. However, pick your poison, people. However, the biggest reason not to book inaugural sailings is that they do not yet have all their kinks worked out. The crew is getting used to working together for the first time and serving thousands of cruise passengers. There may be areas of the cruise ship that weren't quite completed, and still need a little work during your cruise.
You might also find that the cruise ship is...
I had a thought. Go ahead.
Quite crowded because there are going to be a lot of extra special events going on because it's the inaugural sailing. Well, that might be exactly why you want to be on that inaugural sailing. But if you don't really care about the bragging rights and the extra events, you might be better off waiting till, I don't know, the 3rd, 4th, 5th sailing.
Or 6 months
or wait a month or 2, just to let the ship get all those kinks worked out, and get into the rhythm that
you may be accustomed to.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Beginning and end of season cruises. Cruises sailing during shoulder seasons can be a great price, so worth considering if you're looking for a great deal in less crowds. However, they do have a few disadvantages. If you're sailing at the beginning of a season, the weather may not be ideal, depending on what you want to do during your cruise. For instance, sailing to Bermuda in April can be beautiful for sightseeing, but if you're planning on heading to one of Bermuda's pink sand beaches, in my opinion, it will be far too cool. And if you're sailing at the end of the season, you may find that the weather is cooler and the seas are rough. For instance, when the end of season is in Alaska, excursions may be running less often, and there are less people and can even be canceled due to the weather.
Being on the last cruise before a ship goes into dry dock.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Many reasons why you should avoid cruises when they're about to head into dry dock. And basically, cruise ships go into dry dock every couple of years, every 2, 3, 4 years. Maintenance, refurbishment, inside and outside spaces, fresh coat of paint, things like that. Well, that's a good thing. What happens, unfortunately, right before that dry dock is that the ship won't be at its best. At best, you may notice tattered carpets, rust in certain areas, things like that. They've kind of been let go the last couple of weeks because the crew knows it's about to go into dry dock, so they can focus their time on other things.
Like the passengers?
Yeah, sure. More importantly, some cruise passengers have reported that on that last cruise before dry dock, the crew sometimes they have to begin some of that work. So, they're going to be ripping up carpets. They're going to be, sanding rust. They're going to be doing things to prep for dry dock. So, it's not going to be the clean, beautiful, enjoyable, relaxing cruise that you were hoping for. Definitely can have a negative impact on that overall cruise experience. So, I, for one, would definitely want to avoid that.
Okay, I'll go by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You may want to avoid certain cruise lines. Some cruise lines may be more enjoyable than others, depending on the person. So it's really important to research your cruise line and ship. There are really no bad cruise lines, but if you book a cruise that doesn't have the experience that you'll want and expect, you'll definitely be disappointed. For example, if you're looking for a nightlife and high energy vibe, Holland America line might not be the best option for you. If you want a quiet romantic vacation, a Carnival cruise at spring break is one to avoid. There is a problem solved with a bit of research before booking your cruise. You'll be almost guaranteed a better cruise if you pick the best ship in the cruise line for you. And using Cruise Advisor or travel agent can help you, as well as reading cruise ship blogs, listening to cruise podcasts, and watching cruise YouTubers as well.
Like us. That's what we are.
Oh.
Well, and travel agents.
Yeah.
We do it all.
We plug the plug.
We plug the plug.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but
whatever.
Now that you know about some types of cruises to avoid, check out this video we did recently about our time on the Wonder of the Seas.
Yes. I wonder what that will be about.
Oh.